Good evening, morning, afternoon, T. Walker Wine session. Ooh, up in the upper teens. I've forgotten again. I'm gonna shoot with 19. Hopefully I'm close. Good to be here. Glad to have you with me. Thanks for joining. I've got a selection of wine. It is a Chardonnay from France. I'm hoping that this is focused in reasonably well. But I'll write all the pertinent information on the screen there. It is a Chardonnay from Pouilly Fuisse. It is a French AOC or appellation, so a French wine growing region in the southern part of Burgundy in the Mâconnais. There's a few different regions there. That grow predominantly Chardonnay and Pinot Noir. And this is a bottle that I opened last night, and I did some research on it after the fact of buying it, and I couldn't get a whole lot of information on it. But I started to go down that research trail and realized, one, that I couldn't find a lot of information, and then it struck me that the reason why I bought this wine, which is a little bit outside of my comfort zone personally, because I don't know and or purchase much French wine, definitely from Burgundy at least, and so I felt confident though about this wine and enjoying it, and this is why. And so I kind of had this thought just literally 5 minutes ago while researching it. I had this last night, and it was lovely. But I had the epiphany hit me that the reason why I bought it was because I went to a trusted retailer in my hometown of South Florida, someone who knows wine, and not only knows wine, but knows French wine, and is French himself, and has a French restaurant. And so I felt confident in describing to him what I was looking for, which was, for me, kind of a softer style of Chardonnay, especially at least for French terms, which is usually would be for me a very well balanced Chardonnay, which is exactly what this wine is and how it's delivered. This wine is Domaine de la Chapelle. Their old vine, Vignes 2020, Chardonnay from Pouilly Fuisse, which is the grape growing region there in kind of northeast France. And 100% Chardonnay. This wine definitely sees some oak. How much of it is, and some of that oak being new, how much of that is new, I'm not sure. I would say maybe at least probably 20 or 30%, maybe more, probably not a whole lot less, but it is, for me as of yesterday, this is the next day, it was a beautiful balance of having freshness and lively acidity with that creaminess, the oak, a little bit of butter, the oak vanilla coming through, and then the kind of citrus and tree fruits that were just in a beautiful balance. So I think for me, the home run about this wine, which I'm going to dive into now, is that this is a wine that for me was outside my comfort zone, but I went to the right place, talked to the right person, and was able to in some way get the ball over the net in describing the wine that I was looking for, and he didn't disappoint. He has a great selection of, generally speaking, a very small producer. In Pouilly Fuisse, it's 100% Chardonnay, so that is what you make there if you're making Pouilly Fuisse wines. And like a lot of wine regions in Europe, that is how wine is that either there are a couple grapes, or a few grapes you can make wine from, or often if it's a well-known area, there's one grape that you can make wine from, and it is highly regulated. Good and bad, but mostly good, and keeps the quality high, and consumers or customers like myself and purchasers like the wine retail store know what they're getting into. So not a particularly old wine, 2020. I think it's drinking beautifully right now. Let's give it a nose. Definitely the freshness, the mineral component is lovely, zesty. Definitely that lime and kind of crushed rocks. Maybe a little yellow apple, golden delicious. Maybe that's the sexier term. Yesterday I was definitely getting this quince character, which reminds me of, I don't even know, I certainly have had a quince before, but not many, and but kind of like an orange type fruit. I don't even know if it's orange or yellow, but it's kind of somewhere in between, like, it reminds me of like this fruit that's very sweet, but cocky fruit, C-A-C-C-H-I in Italy, but kind of tart, citrus stone fruit from a tree is how I see that quince. Kind of like an orange-ish flavor, but not quite an orange. Definitely get some of the vanilla. This wine's still a little cold. I pulled it out of the fridge, so I'm gonna palm it a little bit, but yeah, I don't drink a whole lot of wine from Burgundy just because I don't know much about it myself, and access is kind of hit or miss depending on where you are. And therefore, and often the price points to get into something I feel like is good and of good quality gets you very quickly, you're spending 30 bucks, if not more. Certainly in areas like Burgundy, and they don't have as many values in that teens and 20s, I think, that the Rhone Valley does. Not to say they don't, but for the wines that I like from Burgundy that I've had, they're usually upwards of 30 bucks and even going up, way up from there. Beautiful texture, beautiful approach. This wine's very sensual to me. It fills your palate, fills your mouth, comes in, kind of disperses over the whole thing, takes it all over in this creamy, silky, soft way. It's not only silky, it's not only creamy, it's not high acid. It's got all those three in this kind of beautiful harmony that coats your palate. Very Moorish wine. Wanting more, salivating for more, but in a delicate way. I think today the oak is maybe a little bit more pronounced maybe than yesterday, at least when it's cool. I just love the freshness of this nose. It has that like just wonderful mineral, kind of like a bit of a seashore and a salinity to it, like freshness of an ocean spray kind of, but then you get mixed with that kind of sweet oaky undertone. It's really lovely, the nose. It's very inviting, very soft, and I think maybe, I mean, I love the flavors. The flavors are nice, but I just really, really adore the texture and approach and the sensuality of this wine. Not to get too theatrical and humanizing of this wine, but man, it's great with food, with cheese, pair with anything from pork and seafood, salads, richer salads. You know, it's just a really well-made wine, and it was about 35 bucks where I was, which I think is a pretty good price actually from some of the prices I saw online. That was a little less than some I've seen, but it's in that mid to upper 30s. And I think it's really well worth that price. I am not disappointed with this wine. Is it the most complex thing I've ever had? No, but what it does have and its complexities and flavors are kind of very clear, and they are presented well. They're not adulterated. They are kind of fresh and just kind of ready for your enjoyment. It was great right out of the bottle. And as this wine warms up, I'm sure we'll get better and better too at that kind of 45-ish plus degrees, 50 degrees. Really lovely wine. The importer is Peter Wygant, a great importer, classic importer out of Pennsylvania. And so that's also a great way to purchase wines is upon the importer. If it's an overseas wines, they usually have a very great standard of quality of what they bring in. And so if you become familiar with an importer, it's a great tidbit is to turn that label around from the front to the back if you're in a foreign section and see what the importer is, who the importer is. And if you track a theme of wines that you like and or dislike, sometimes it's good to know who to stay away from. But Wygant has made a great pick with this wine. A family-owned winery, I believe, a couple, actually should say their name, Catherine and Pascal Rollet, R-O-L-L-E-T. They farm about 7.5 or so hectares, so I think that's kind of in the upper teens of acres, 18, 19 acres maybe close to 20 acres. So yeah, they're doing their thing, and Pouilly Fuisse, making great Chardonnay. It's got a wonderful oak character to it, and it's not by any means over the top California style at all. I would say this is on that kind of mid-range for California, if not even less. But beautiful, fresh, vibrant fruit. Kind of to me, the more green tropical fruits, as in like overly ripe tropical fruits, mixed with that citrus, that kind of more lime than lemon, but lemon zest. There's a little, I don't know about spice, but that salinity there, that's playing with that lime, and golden delicious apple. Man, go out, make friends with your local store, or even if you're traveling, if you show up to an Italian wine shop, or a wine shop where the guy's Italian and sounds like he speaks Italian and have a lot of Italian wines, well, it's probably a good place to buy Italian wine, I would say. And so this definitely, the owner, the vendor just hit a home run for me at this price point. And I'm just thrilled to be able to try it. So yeah, thanks for joining me. Leave your comments and I will answer them if I have anything intelligible to say. And happy wine hunting. Chin chin. Man, there's a purity. There's a purity to this wine that is undeniably beautiful. I'm going to drink the rest of this bottle so I don't waste it, because I do not want to waste it. Lovely wine. I think it comes in at 13.5% alcohol. Not low, not high. That's kind of the traditional standard number that you would see in most wines is going to be 13.5%. You'll see that on the label. So beautifully balanced wine. I would encourage you to go out and maybe go outside your comfort zone, but do so wisely and find the right place to do that, and ask some questions and ask the right questions, and do the best you can to discern from the person you're asking the questions to their confidence in what they are telling you. And if you ask a question and the response that comes back doesn't make any sense, either maybe try to ask the question again, or ask it in a different way, use different words. And then inevitably, if you don't trust that person, then maybe don't go off the recommendation until you can, find somebody that is going to steer you down the right path. I It's always, you know, a risk when you open a bottle, especially a new bottle that you haven't had, and if you don't know who's selling it to you, there's a risk involved there. But you can certainly mitigate those risks. And this is one of those scenarios where I've just been super happy and content with this purchase. So, ching ching.